early on. We got Walter Scott in the building with Champion Recruits.
Yes, sir. Glad to be here.
Welcome to the kingdom once again.
Sir.
So, Walter, give us a little history of how you just got in the industry.
Well, back in 2008, well, before that, I was working with some kids on the side. And then in 2008, I was working in the banking industry and with sales. And it wasn't the sales that bothered me. It was just like the, I guess, leadership. And, we had quotas. And I started feeling like this is not life. Like I'm not living. I'm going to work every day, trying to make a living and trying to help support my family. But I just felt like it was more to life than what I was experiencing. And so, and because there were some challenges on the job, one night I was laying there and I just had the thought, man, if I resign, what if I just resign? And just saying that, like this weight lifted off of me. And so I went to my wife, it was kind of like one of those things is, you don't know how the conversation gonna go. But I was like, I just feel like if I resign and it would just, I'd be,
Happy.
Yeah. Happy. And she agreed. She gave me the blessing to do it. And I didn't have a definite plan what I was going to do after that, but I had been working with these kids on the side, and I enjoyed it. And I'm like a goal setter, so I write out goals. And prior to that, I just wrote down on a piece of paper that one day I want to own a business. And so when I was at that crossroad of like transitioning from that job, I was like, why not try? I didn't define that early on what type of business, but since I've been working on those kids on the side and I enjoyed it, I was like, how about try to turn this into a business? And so that's what got me started.
Okay.
Man, that's awesome, man. And we're huge believers in, having faith and betting on yourself and, chasing after what you believe in, man. So I commend you for taking that leap of faith, man, and doing what you're doing in the industry. So we first, got connected to you. We was training your son, Parker. He played for a middle school team. He's in high school now, but played for a middle school AAU team at the time with some of his future teammates. They brought, Coach Chad, shout out to Coach Chad from the J.J. Pierce organization. They brought, that team here for us to work with. And that's how we began to form our relationship. Parker was one of their best players and always one of those kids that we saw the potential in him and saw that, he was on the plight of, something phenomenal. And we were just honored to be able to pour into him. So we got to know you, through your son. And, now we're here, working together and, building a relationship. And, it's a beautiful thing to be able to work with you and, watch your growth and evolution over the last, 6 months or so. So as far as like your foundation in basketball, kind of talk about, your history growing up as a kid and kind of what got you interested in the game.
So, like everybody during that time, we played a lot of basketball, played a lot of playground, basketball. I played a little bit in high school. My younger brother was a standout. Like he was really, really good with basketball and baseball. So, it's kind of like he and I, my playing experience, but also me helping him with his high school career is kind of like my foundation. And so, of course, I got into the workforce. And then later on, like I described earlier, it's kind of what I've always enjoyed basketball. And, like even after like high school, I asked God I would still go play like in, pickup games or go to the rec and stuff like that. And I go out and just shoot. And I asked God that like basketball not be taken away from me. And I didn't know what that really meant when I said that. Like I want to be like basketball be a part of my life in some kind of way, just because I enjoy the game, from playing it and just watching it and being around it, my short career, but also helping my brother. And then fast forward is when, I got to that crossroad at that job and started working those kids on the side and got the opportunity where I could continue to, be involved in the game of basketball.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So talk about your, foundation as far as development, right? So you started working with those players, and what was kind of the basis of the program that you were developing and building with those young men and women?
So when I first got started, or what I saw, my real motivation was I went out to some games, and I started seeing, like, I knew players had goals and aspirations, but the game is a skills game. And so as I was sitting there watching, I was like, these kids are not skilled enough to be able to accomplish some of the things that they want to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everybody says, hey, I want to go play college basketball. Like, that's not the reality for everybody, unfortunately. But there are some kids who do have the potential, but you can't do it if you don't have the skills.
Mm-hmm.
Or you might want to start on your team, or you want to, score more points, whatever it is. So as I'm watching these kids, I know they want to accomplish more, but they're going to be limited by their skill set.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what got me motivated. And so before I actually started, doing it as a business, those kids on the side, when I was training them, helping with the ball handling, helping with their shooting, I started seeing their growth and their improvement. So I knew I had a concept. And then also, my brother played a big part in that too, because of the player he was. And throughout his process, he was going to some other trainers, and like, he was a phenomenal athlete. The one component that he was missing when he was playing is elite level ball handling.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he went to go to some other trainers, matter of fact, it was a trainer here in Dallas that he played a couple colleges. He played at Texas A&M Commerce. Well, no, back that up. After high school, he had a couple offers, but it wasn't something that he was just super excited about. So he went to a prep school, Maine Central Institute in Pittsfield, Maine.
Mm.
And while he was there, like, they had kids from all over the country.
And this was when, like, what year was this?
He graduated in 99. So this would have been 2000 when he went to that.
Wow, that's crazy, because like prep schools weren't really like that prevalent back then.
Yeah. Well, see, because we saw his athletic potential, and we're just a family that we're trying to maximize the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, it's always, if you're trying to do something, there is a way to try to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were just like trying to research.
Yeah, and exploring all options.
To give him that, like you said, it wasn't prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
My older brother lives in DC, and so they kind of like gave us some information to explore these options.
Okay.
When we looked into it, we found, hey man, this could work. And so we sent his information up there to that prep school, and they accepted him. He got in.
Mm-hmm.
And him working with a trainer, no. Okay, that's first. So when he went to that prep school, now you got kids from North Carolina, all these different places.
Yeah.
He was a really good athlete and a good ball player. But now when he started getting around these other guys from different places, he saw levels to
Mm-hmm.
it. And one guy on that team was Karan Butler, played for Miami Heat, Dallas Mavericks, and stuff like that. And so him playing against him in practice and stuff like that, you really started seeing that it's a skills game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, your talent and stuff is great, but skills is what really gives you the ability to play at the highest levels.
Mm-hmm.
And so once we kind of had that information, he played some other colleges, but the last college he played with, he had a guy that worked with some NBA guys, worked with them, and helped his ball handling. And so once we started getting that, we started seeing the components it's going to take to help kids' development. And so then we just started implementing that stuff when we were working with kids as we started our business.
I love that, man. I love that. And I'm looking at your shirt, you know what I mean? And I'm seeing that, mindset times skill set, and the way, and I don't know if you thought about this when you put that together, but the mindset is first.
Yeah.
Then the skill set. Yeah. So the mindset, and you can break that up in so many different ways, but I want to focus on the mindset to make the decision, to be self-aware, to be like, hey, I have a deficiency here. I'm going to go commit to the process of getting better in these areas. It takes a mentality, it takes a mindset to be able to do that, to make that decision. And I think a lot of, players, they don't make the right decisions, right? They don't make the decisions to self-evaluate themselves and figure out what is it that I'm lacking in and what do I need to invest in order to get myself to where I want to go. So talk about the mentality and, being disciplined and having basketball IQ. Talk, like, unpack that word mindset, because that's means something to you and going into your books and all that stuff. So kind of unpack mindset and what you think about it and how you implement that into your development.
Okay. Yeah. Again, thank y'all for being here. It's the first time I really wore this,
Mhm.
so I'm glad that I had this opportunity to display this. But this came from my thinking. My philosophy is you have to be a champion to accomplish what you want to accomplish. So we see every day, y'all in the skill development space. So you see kids who excel and achieve, these great feats.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have other athletes who desire some of the same things, but in order for you to be able to achieve something that you really desire, it takes being a champion.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that, the first thing is the courage, like what you're talking about. See, it takes courage to have that type of mindset,
Mm-hmm.
to want to go through that process.
Yeah, to look yourself in the mirror.
Yeah, through that process. Because if what I want, I could just speak it to existence and say, hey, I want to be a starter, I want to play college, and that thing just don't happen. That's easy, but that's not how it works. It's not how it works.
Yeah.
You say it, or you have these thoughts, or you have these desires. Now I got to go do it.
And I want to stop you right there, because Coach Rod always does this, and I love it when he does it. When we'll have like tryouts or we'll have some type of big event, he'll always come in and be like, raise your hand if you guys want a scholarship. Like, that's always your question.
Right.
And everybody's quick to raise their hand up, and they don't realize that that is the easiest part of getting there, is saying it. Saying, oh, I want this, I want that. You can say it all day long, but we quickly find out who really wants it by their actions and being committed and consistent throughout the process.
And their work.
And their worth ethic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and that first part of courage is knowing what you want. And then the other part is actually starting to do something about it, like take some steps toward that. And that's where that mindset comes in. Is like, because along that road, as we know, it's going to be obstacles, it's going to be challenges, and life's going to test you. So, but it first starts with knowing what you want and like believing in that, and be willing to go through the challenge or whatever to get that, achieve your goal.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then once you get started with the process, then the mindset comes in as like, I believe in myself. I believe that I can do this, and then I can be mentally tough to overcome the challenges. Like, because you're going to have setbacks, but then you have to be able to keep going.
Yeah.
And that's where the courage ties into it too.
Yeah.
Like the first sign of opposition, you can't stop.
Mm-hmm.
You have to keep going. Like, it's just some lessons that you're going to learn to get better, to improve, but you got to keep going.
Yeah.
And that's the mindset.
And that's dope that, your brand, the name is Champion. And we have a wall in our facility called the Wall of Champions. So that was just by God, and how, people see Wall of Champions, they're probably thinking, oh, did they win a championship? You know what I mean? And some of them have won, at every level. Some of them haven't. But we picked that word because of the mentality of champion the game, champion the worth ethic, champion the process, right? And in spite of how you feel, these players dedicated themselves and they showed up to accomplish what they wanted to accomplish. And that's a champion within itself.
Which is a scholarship.
Which is a scholarship, or
Right.
which is a contract, right? Like, that's a championship mentality. So for us to have that, and for that to be your brand, and us not even, have known you when you started it, is a beautiful thing, man. Like how we connected in that and didn't even realize it.
Yeah, and what you just said is the whole embodies it.
Mm-hmm.
They on that wall because they're champions.
Yeah.
you don't get the things that you want, because we all want some things. It's a difference between wanting something and actually getting what you want. Like, that's different. And the byproduct of it is you become the champion.
Yeah.
Like, because the steps are courage, heart, adversity, mentality, preparation, inspiration, opportunity, and never give up. Like, all of those things are part of the blueprint to get what you want.
So that's your philosophy that you talk about in your book. So Coach Walter's got a book. So these are the 8 steps that you help players get from A to Z, right? Okay. So unpack that process. Like, what inspired you to write a book? Talk about the process of you actually completing the book and how you implement and deliver it to your athletes.
So I've been training about 8 years, I believe, or somewhere off in there. And so I've helped players have success, like help players, make their middle school team, make the A team. Then I had, early on, we had some young ladies, when we kind of really know we was onto something, we had some young ladies who, they made varsity as freshmen, but they played in a summer league with the varsity as 8th graders. And so, I mean, it's a little smaller school, so you got to put it into context. Still, that's still a big feat, And so we were like, okay, we own to something. And so we helped players have the success. But then later on, like, I had a couple kids, and it's because once you get involved in these kids, like, their success becomes your success, and you get really, like, you take stuff to heart. Like, you really want them to do well. And so I had a couple of athletes that they settled, and it hurt me. Like, it hurt me deeply. I had a kid at Rockwall. She was a post player, like 6'2", 6'1", 6'2", but was skilled because and then in her journey, the beauty in some of this is these are kids who weren't, some kids, like in high school, they're the guy or the girl because they were offset in middle school. But I had some kids who that wasn't the case. Like, I had the girl I'm just talking about right now, in 7th grade, she was like on the B team.
So she had to go take something.
Yeah, she had to. So we had to go work to get her by 8th grade to position to be on A team and start getting in the mix with everything. And then by the time she got to high school, she had made that jump because we, this whole process we've been talking about being a champion and going through the process. Well, over those 2 years, people felt a certain way about her, but she put in the work. When she got to high school, now things changed. She's going to JV while they're still stuck on freshman. But so fast forward, so she's a skilled athlete, from a post player, right hand hook, left hand hook, put the ball on the floor. She could do all this thing, had good size, and she was a scorer. Like, the first game on JV, she put up like 25 as a freshman, the very first game she played. And so, like, she's an offensive player. Well, the coaches throughout her career started nagging about other things. And I get it. Players always want you to do, coach wants you to do something different. I get that. I don't have an issue with that. But I guess it's how you do it. What you want somebody to improve on, don't diminish what they're already good at. That's kind of what happened in this case. Like, she went out on the circuit, and in the summertime, the coaches were saying these things about her. They saw her offensive potential. They saw her matching up with the other players. She got good size, so she has college potential. Well, the high school coach, because she wasn't a great rebounder or some of the other things, was saying, you'll never make it to college. And so now she just didn't know who she was now. Which one am I?
Yeah, she started probably doubting her strengths. The things she did well, she stopped believing she could do it because she was so focused on the negative.
Right. And so that hurt me because I saw the trajectory of this kid. Like, they had a young lady, Alyssa Lane, who went to Rice. And Alyssa had a high motor. That was her biggest skill. I mean, she was good, knew how to play. I think if she wasn't a McDonald All-American, she was a McDonald All-American nominee. And she was like the all-time leading scorer at Rockwell High School and all this stuff. Well, the young lady that I'm talking about, obviously she didn't do have the type of career Alyssa had, but as a freshman, she probably had more upside didn't Alyssa. So she had her ceiling could have been so high, but because of things with the coaching and just different things. So she was one young lady who it hurt because she didn't reach her full potential. And then Justin Wade was another kid, like 6'8" kid from Greenville. Really, I mean, he put a lot of work in. And just hearing that 6'8", 225.
He's prime. You would think he's got the genetic makeup to walk through the door.
Yeah.
No.
And so just not understanding the recruiting process, he had some D2 schools looking at him, but he wound up going D3. And I'm not knocking him. And shout out to Justin and his family if they watch this. I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying that he was really a D1 prospect, but because Greenville and some of the other areas don't have the visibility that you have in the Metroplex, like that can create a challenge recruiting because people just don't know you like they know some of these other players. But so D1 potential and sliding down to actually playing D3, like that hurt me because I felt like he didn't need me to go to D3. Like him being the size he was could have got him in the door of D3.
Man,
we had put so much work in, and the skill set that he had.
Wow,
because he has pro potential. I'm not even saying like NBA. I'm talking about overseas.
Right, he can make a living playing the game.
Yeah, because of your size and your skill set. Because he could hit the 15-foot jumper, 15-foot jumper, and so those two athletes were two that really hurt me because they didn't reach their full potential. And then what I started seeing, because real quickly with Justin, he was a different player between his junior year and his senior year. Like he was rocking, all district. And then his senior year at the beginning, he was kind of like struggling. And I couldn't understand. I was like, you're a senior now, same coach, same program, same system. What you do in your junior year, it should be a carryover because now you should even be more comfortable. But his progression, his production went down, and I couldn't understand it. Like I would go to games, I'm trying to figure out because he didn't have no injuries. What's going on? Well, the team was losing. The coach was relating to him different. Nitpicking him about stuff. I guess he was losing confidence, and so it finally triggered and hit. Like I get it. It's a mindset. Like your mindset drives your skill set. And so that's when I started realizing that players have to be equipped from the mental as well as they work on the skills. In order for them to reach their full potential. Because you can have all the skills in the world, but if your belief starts waning or if you're having a strong enough mindset, it's going to cause you not to perform at the level that you're capable of performing.
That's real, man.
And then, God gave me, because the book came from, I was trying to figure out a way, now that I'm starting to understand this, how can I package something that would help these athletes? And then, so God just gave me these 8 steps. And then, so I just started to, once I got them, the courage, the heart, and these words and these principles, then I'll just put it in book form. And that's where it came from.
So how did you transition from doing skills training and then into the recruiting side, or you just did both?
So the recruiting is like right about this process, like right about now. So that's 2021 is when I started focusing on that. At one, I saw, because just throughout the journey, visibility is a big piece of it. There are some kids who, like a LeBron or somebody like that, where you just got the size or just the talent with the size to where they can't miss. Like people just spot them early on, and then they get traction just organically. It might not be the case for every kid. And so throughout my journey of training, especially where some kids might be located, the marketing is huge. Like just getting your work, your name out there, people seeing your game and what you're able to do. And so by Parker being in the class of 2026, I was like, I want to help him early or just throughout the process of helping create some visibility for him. So, throughout the process of training, I realized that there was an aspect that's essential to players reaching their goals of, college scholarships and stuff like that with the visibility, the marketing and stuff like that. And so I wanted to start early helping Parker with that. And so, I was after thinking, well, primarily the champion recruits is benefit him, but then too, like I was like, well, I want to help other players as well. And so that's where that came into play.
Okay.
This is using some of just from the development aspect, understanding what type of skills a player has to have to play at the college level, and then too, when my brother was in high school, like in '99, I was sending out tapes for him. Of course, things are different now with the social media and all that kind of stuff. It was the old fashioned VHS, like you taking the tapes, taking the clips and editing them and stuff like that, and then mailing them out. So I was doing that for him when he was in high school. And so just understanding what, not saying that I can't continue to grow in my understanding, but I have an idea of what college coaches are looking for. And so, and then when COVID hit, I knew I had to kind of like change my business model make some, we all had to adjust in some way. And so that's kind of what brought that about.
Okay. And we had the pleasure of partnering with you for our 2026 combine we had, this fall. And a portion of that combine, you did a seminar with the parents that were here for the athletes that had signed up. And you talked about some of these different, principles and things that they needed to take heed to position their athlete for recruitment opportunities. So talk about, that experience and what are some of the things that you shared with those parents on that day?
So the biggest thing with that I try to really emphasize during that combine is you have to, it's like with all products, we have to position ourselves, we have to package ourselves. So basketball, as we know, and you played overseas, you played professionally, you played Division I and all these things, size is a big thing. Size is not, you shouldn't be limited by your size, because, back in the day you had guys, Muggsy Bogues, 5'3", make it to the NBA. So, but in saying that though, we have to understand, because for years, like I heard that Muggsy Bogues, and like, man, of course he was athletic, that type of thing, like that's phenomenal. But there was a documentary, and I watched it, but now I saw why he was able to do that though, because he was like just hellion on defense. Like his defense, like, you had guys at that time, and they're doing a documentary who said when Muggsy Bogues came, they just picked up the ball. Like they were scared, just they didn't want to get off the ball because that's how intense he was on defense.
Yeah.
So this smaller guy, he had some skills that nobody else did possess, or he was doing it at a level that nobody else could do.
To warrant him an opportunity to be in that place.
Right. He could score, but he wasn't trying to. He wasn't one that was 5'3" leading the nation in scoring, and he got that opportunity. Like he was a floor general. He could run a team. Like he could get people in position. He was a good ball handler. He was a phenomenal defender. So he had these things to where now you can put other guys around him. And have the team be successful.
And the size doesn't hurt you because he's able to lock up anybody who's in front of him.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what players have to understand. 6'8", LeBron, those type of guys. Somebody like you guys yourself.
They're first in line.
Right. You play all these different skills. But if you're smaller, then you have to, your skill set and your size and all those things, because coaches don't put you in a category.
And you got to work twice as hard, pretty much.
And coaches don't put you in a category. So they come and they see you, they put you in a category. So if I'm 6'3" or shorter, that doesn't mean I have to play point guard, but in recruiting processes, they're looking at you as a point guard. So you at least have to have those point guard type skills. And then like from the 6'3" to 6'5" is more your shooting guards, and 6'6" or 6'5" to like 6'7" is your wings, and then 6'8" to 6'10" is like your forwards, and then all up your centers.
Yeah.
So just understanding where you fit in that, that's how you model your game.
And you have to also, those players that are in that 6 foot to 6'3" category, sometimes you forget they're that size because they don't play like their size. Like, they're amongst the trees, right? They're finishing at the rim or even above the rim, going through contact, like able to break a press, able to handle resistance, double teams, and guard players from all sizes. You forget their stature because of their mentality, because of that skill set and their ability to, that's the separator. And when they use those references, Muggsy Bogues played, he was small, so I can play too. But do you possess those intangibles?
Right.
Like, I mean, yes, well, Steph Curry and
small, but
and Trae Young, like them dudes, like you can't hold them.
Right.
Like, them dudes hitting threes, like from half court, like getting to the rack, like making the team better. Like they do so much to where you forget that they're not 6'8", 6'9".
And it's a mindset.
And it's a mentality.
Yeah.
So I think that's what players need to start weighing when they say, oh, well, there's these players that are this size in the NBA. Okay, so look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, do you possess those qualities? Maybe not at that level, but do you have that defensive ability? Do you have that shooting and scoring ability, playmaking ability? And if you don't, those are the things that they had in order to get them a seat at that table.
And to piggyback on what you just said on how we tie the mindset into this. So they said when Steph Curry went to camps, like maybe sophomore, junior year, senior year off of that. So the first thing was he was there a little bit before everybody. So you got guys coming in and sliding in. So if the camp started at 8 o'clock, they slide in at 7:55 so he's already on the court. But the other thing, when Steph Curry practiced, he might even do this to the day, but back in the day, what they reported is he would leave a workout on 5 makes, but that's all swishes. Like not touching nothing but net. So if he makes 3, miss 1, then he starts all the way back over. So that attention to detail, that standard, and never going away from that, now that makes him an elite shooter. So it was the things that he was doing, the mindset behind the scenes, to help him become who he became. And the other thing what people forget too is that his dad helped him, but the process we're talking about becoming a champion. So I think it was his 10th grade year, by his dad playing in the league, his dad told him that you can't play high level basketball from where your release point is. Because at that time he's like 5'8", 5'9", scrawny and small. So he's shooting from his hip.
Yeah.
So when you get
like most kids nowadays that are in elementary or middle school and hadn't made that transition to having the ball up.
Yeah. And so he was like, when you trying to go to college, now you got a 6'8" defender, 6'4" defender.
You ain't getting that off.
You're not getting that off. So we have to change that, your release point. So he had a 10th grade summer that they started from scratch with his new shooting form. And his video documented, like he was talking about, that was like one of the longest summers, the toughest summers for him for basketball. Because now you're having to build all new muscle memory and get a whole new shot.
He said he didn't make a shot all summer.
Yeah.
He was crying. And I mean, you have to understand the frustration of having to, make that change and that transition.
Yeah. So that's those some mindset things that in the process that he went through to help him become who. Because we might not have known Steph Curry if those type of things. If they didn't transpire, like if he didn't have somebody around him to tell him that, and then him being the champion to go through that process. Yeah. Because if he stayed where he was, yes, you could high school basketball player, he probably goes to college, but he
didn't make that leap like he did, man. And that's what players have to understand, that change, it requires you to be uncomfortable. Like in order for you to really get to that next phase, it takes some discomfort, right? And so he experienced that discomfort of having to change something in that moment that was going to catapult him quicker, right, and be able to sustain him at the highest of levels. And he didn't realize it. In the moment, that process was uncomfortable. He probably was questioning and doubting himself, frustrated every day. But now you look at him, reigning NBA champion, table full of handful of rings, like all these accolades. And, I know he's the best shooter to ever play the game, right? He's got more in the tank, right? Barring, injuries and all that stuff. But I was watching him last night, man, against, I forgot who they played, but it was a great game, man. And they were down like 25, 30 points. And, he dang near just pushed them to come back into the game. It got down to 8, like with a minute and a half to go, right? You know what I mean? So, a team that they have and him to be able to shoot the ball. And it wasn't just him, Jordan Poole, all those other guys making shots too. But, his ability is rubbing off on them as well, right? He changed the game. Right. He literally came in the NBA and being a smaller, scrawnier guard, like stretched out that 3-point line. And now every kid in America wants to shoot shots like that.
Right.
He evolved the game of basketball and they built that team around that skill set and they changed the league to where now, I was talking to a college coach at a tournament the other day and he like, man, we're only looking for guys that can shoot the ball now.
Yeah.
I don't care. I mean, athleticism or not, if you can't shoot, we can't recruit. Like, this is a D2 school, so it wasn't even like a Power 5 Division I program. So that's the mentality for even those programs.
Right.
So the game is forever changed in this moment. So players have to understand that, you've got to work on your game. You've got to embrace the uncomfort. You got to do a self-evaluation and figure out what are some things that I need to do to evolve. And you got to make that time and that investment that's going to be uncomfortable, but it's going to pay you back in the long run.
And what I love about Steph Curry's journey is he embodies a champion. And I say that because he wasn't somebody that was highly recruited. Like, he had one offer. It was to Davidson. Like, you look at the guy now, what he's accomplished. And so if somebody was to try to figure out where he went to college, then you think he went to Duke or went to UCLA,
yeah.
or one of these big
schools. He gave Duke hell.
Right. What he accomplished now.
Yeah.
When you came out of high school, only one school was willing to give him a chance. And he took the opportunity and made it into what it is. So that's him, putting in the work like we just talked about. But that's also him betting on himself. And that's him working like nobody else works and having the mindset like that few people have. Because you have somebody that's telling you that, no, we're not going to. Because the reason why he only had one offer, as we know, is because of size. He's smaller. Like, when people saw him, he didn't fit the eyeball test. So we don't feel like you can play at this level. So that's why nobody's offered. But he still wanted to play. He had these dreams and these aspirations. And so he was willing to become a champion and get what he wanted.
I love that, man.
The courage to do it when nobody's recruiting you.
Right. That's it, man.
The heart, the adversity. You overcome adversity, the mentality. He prepares like nobody prepared.
That's
he
it,
stayed
man.
Inspired. He took advantage of opportunity. He never gave up.
So with your recruiting service, you're helping the parents navigate the, pathway to getting a scholarship, getting seen, marketing them. Are you doing any of that now with any athletes, or tell us about some past athletes?
So, the players that I've trained, when I was training them, like, I had a young lady that wanted to talk to the state. I helped her. I helped the kid I was talking about, Justin. I helped him. I made phone calls for him. There wasn't a hard sell because he's 6'8", 225. So once they see video, there's going to be some interest there. So I helped them. But presently, it's just helping Parker, and then helping other players in video form. And so, like, with the event, with the combine, give me the opportunity to now branch that out and actually talk directly to parents and do seminars and stuff like that. So, thank you guys for that opportunity. That's helping me not only just do some video with the marketing, but also like do face-to-face and do like seminars for players and parents. So that's kind of where that's headed.
Okay.
So what's the moving forward? The vision moving forward. So I'm a freshman kid in high school, getting ready for AAU season coming up in a month or two. I come to Coach Walter. What do I expect? Like how can I get there? What are some things that I need to do? What are some things that you're going to help me do so I can accomplish my goal as a young athlete?
The very first thing we're going to identify is what are you trying to accomplish? That's I mean everything starts there. So you have to spell it out what you want to do. So because like even sometimes they say in their head I want to play college level, but I have them write it down.
Okay.
Write the goals down. And so once we have that, now we start developing the plan. Because I try to simplify it for a player. So even people say college, now we got to say what type of college you trying to play in. So because your work ethic to get NAIA or like D3 has to be different if you're trying to get D1. Like you can't work out like a D3 player or an NAIA player, and I'm not knocking any of those.
Yeah.
But I'm saying you can't have that type of work ethic and think you're going D1. Because now we're talking about the best of the best. Those guys making some sacrifices very few people are making. Like you got guys who go D1 because they're getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning. They working out before they go to school. They're in the gym. I have a conversation the other day with Parker's middle school coach, and he went to school around the time with Larry Johnson. He was like, Larry Johnson was telling the coach, hey, he wanted to be in the gym anytime he could, as much as he could. So Larry Johnson asked the coach, can he come up to the school at 5:30? So he's at the school at 5:30 in the morning. And the janitor let him in.
Yeah.
So he's getting in work and then changing to go to his first period class. So if you want to go D1, you have to do some things, make some sacrifices everybody else is not making.
That's it.
So that's why it starts what you want to accomplish. And then now let's build a blueprint to understand what that's going to require. And the simplest way to do that is if I say on a piece of paper, this is what I want to be a D1 athlete. On the other side, what is it going to take? What kind of sacrifice I'm going to make? You have to spell these out. And now we got to go do it. But you have to understand this first. Because if you don't understand it, then the first time we come in, we start, like somebody like yourself, or, I still work with players as well. But if I'm asking you to do certain things, now you can't start saying, oh, that's not what I want to do.
Because now you had that roadmap of like, this is what you started, this is what you stated you wanted to do. So we've got to navigate
because you
till we get to the destination.
Friday night, you might have to come up here to Kingdom on Saturday and what they call it?
The Norman tag, do recovery and all that.
You might have to put up some light shots. You might have to come and like I was telling Parker, with Kimmy Blackburn was a kid I had back in the day. When I met her, she was a good player. Like I met her the summer of her junior year, going into her senior year, and she had already been first team all district and some of these other things. But I asked, what's one thing you haven't accomplished yet? She said, I haven't been district MVP. I said, okay. So when I started making her do some stuff she hadn't done before. Like we treadmilling out, we doing all these different things. Like after she played on Friday night, we was in the gym Saturday morning. She had a tournament sometimes. So they had a tournament at 2 o'clock. We were at the gym at 12 o'clock. So like at their school had a tournament. We would go to the middle school and we putting up shots and stuff before the game at 2 o'clock. To make sure she was crisp and sharp. Like the touch was good and all these different things. So that year, not only did she make district MVP, she was all region, and some of her stats were some of the best across the state of Texas. But it was because we found time to work like nobody else was working. And that's what you got to do if you're trying to reach certain goals.
And that's a beautiful thing, man. Like those top tier athletes, you see them like, doing the team layup line, all like, man, why aren't they going hard? They already really warmed up.
Right.
Like they're not relying on the team warm-ups to get warmed up. Some of them have already lifted weight. Some have already got up 100 and some shots before. Like they're already crisp and ready, and they're literally just kind of just going through that team moment, but they already locked in and ready to roll. So if you're relying on those 5 to 10 minutes that the team gets to warm up, that ain't gonna get it. Like that shows your level, right? Like these guys are coming in warm. They're coming in locked in and ready to go. And like you said, those are the sacrifices. And I think sacrifice has it's a demonized term for some reason. Oh, I gotta sacrifice, I gotta give up something. Like I gotta let go of this. Like I don't want to do that. Like we always want to hold on to whatever it is we want to hold on to. But we have to realize is you can't hold on to what you want to hold on to if God got something better for you. Because it's impossible for you to grab something if you already have something in your hand. So you have to let go of being comfortable, let go of doing things the way you want to do it because it satisfies you in this moment. You have to release those things to go grab something that is bigger and better, that's going to position you and catapult you to where you want to go. So it's all for your betterment, right? And sometimes most of the time, these players, they don't see it. They don't truly see themselves like we see them, right? Some of them, they'll come in, they know they got potential, they know they got the talent, right? But we see that times 10. We see that 10x, like, hey man, like this is where you are now, but I can see your future. I can see if we just fine tune these areas and you lock in on these details and you commit to these processes, you're going to be knocking it out the park, right? But it's not going to be easy, right? It's not going to be comfortable, and you're going to have to sacrifice yourself to get what you want. So in sacrificing your own desires, you get bigger desires that you desire and you want. So it could be a catch-22 sometimes. And like when you say it, you're like, what do you mean? But in my mind, it's so clear because we're all trying to get to the same spot. We're all trying to reach a level of success in our lives that requires us to get outside of ourselves to benefit us. And we need each other. We need people to hold us accountable. That's why surrounding yourself with the right people and having, men like yourselves in the lives of these young people helps them see the bigger scope of it, right? It's not about just this one moment. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not just training you to be a freshman on varsity. Like, I'm training you to be a college athlete. Like I'm getting you on that regimen. So we're talking about conditioning, recovery, film, all these different things. That's what they're doing at the next level. So why are we going to wait until we get there to start working on those things? I'd rather give it to you right now. It's like giving you the answers to the test. I'm just going to slide them across the table and give them to you so you can go ace that thing, but you still got to go do it.
You got to go through it.
You still got to go through it. And I think that's where a lot of players are like, that's when the rubber meets the road. And that's where the empty words of, man, I want a scholarship. How that don't even mean nothing no more. Like that's going to be the easiest thing you do is raise your hand and say, yeah, that's what I want. Okay, we're going to find out how bad do you want it, right? Because it's going to require some things. It's going to require you giving up some things that you may not want to give up to help you get to where you want to get to in life. Okay.
One of your athletes, Gabe Warren, I had the opportunity to see him just being in the gym at the same time he was doing Thanksgiving and Christmas. And so like I was talking to Parker because we went to their strength and conditioning workout with Coach B. Shout out to Coach B. And that's how Parker was able to make the connection with Gabe Warren and be around him. But we're talking about it later. Him and Michael Robinson, guys like that. And what I was telling him, what I was impressed was that they're from here, but they're, in other states. But on those holidays, they could be home chilling. Just with the fam and going to see their people they grew up with and just chilling out for these couple. But each time those guys have come back and get in the gym, like that's a part of their break. Like that's mandatory for them. Nobody's making them do that. There's no coach holding them accountable. They're holding themselves accountable. That's
it, man.
And I've noticed that with Gabe.
100%, man. And shout out to Gabe, man. And great kid, great family. Like, I mean, just like almost like a son. The much love I have for this dude. And I'm not going to tell too much of his story because I want him to be able to share, his own walk and his own journey. He hosted his signing here at Kingdom to go to Rice. He got one more year of high school. Gabe is, one of those kids who had to go through those tough times, right? You know, being a predominant football player and wanting to play basketball, it was some work. It was some intervention that had to take place, some stuff off the court that had to take place, some tough conversation that we had to have to get his mindset, to get his mentality there, right? We say, dude, I see the skills, the potential. It's there. You're an athlete, right? That's not the hard part. We got to get your mind there. All right. And once we get the mind there, the skills are going to start activating because it's already in you, right? You're going to pick up everything that we're trying to give you, but we got to get your mindset locked in on, okay, this is where you are now. These are the areas, these are the deficiencies, and this is how we're going to attack this thing head on. So you can be signing a piece of paper by the end of this journey, right? And so on and so forth, right? It's not over, right? He's got the potential to be a pro player, right? And so what you're saying is these guys are committed, right? And I can attest to that. Every break, Thanksgiving, Eve, Christmas, they're, man, hey coach, I'm on the road heading back. I'll be home this time. Let's get in the lab, like now. Like it's almost a desire. It's almost like their body doesn't feel normal. Their mind doesn't feel at ease if they're not locking in and working, right? It's an obsession that only a handful of people have. That's why there's a 1%. There's a 1% for a reason, because only 1% of people have that mindset and have that hunger and that desire. So having, you know, your son around people like that, even if he doesn't have it now, because sometimes as freshmen, they don't have it. They're still kids, right? They don't, 14 years old, 15, they don't have that yet. But sometimes you got to throw them in with the other wolves and they see it and that starts rubbing off on them, right? And now they become that because they see that's the difference. Yeah, people say it all the time. We talk about hard work, dedication, we say it, but sometimes we got to show you. You know what I mean? Sometimes us as adults, we have to step away and say, I'm just going to put you in the ring with somebody who's where you want to go, and I'll let them show you without even saying it. So that's a beautiful thing about the ecosystem that we're creating here is that, you know, we got young players all the way up to the players that are, you know, inking those papers and going to the next level. And those guys are so quick to come back and help these other individuals get to where they want to get to, right? It's about the resources, and we want to continue to expand on that as we continue to grow this program. So Walter, as we wrap it up, man, just wanted to first, man, to tell you thank you, man, for your time, energy, effort, and your sacrifices that you've made, you know, to be a pillar, you know, in this basketball community. So as we talk about community, how has the Kingdom community impacted you along your journey?
The brotherhood, man, the brotherhood. And then too, like really getting to know you guys. So, you know, I've had a conversation with Rod, and Rod is the type that we know that challenge you. So Rod said some things that challenged me, that make me go back and reflect. And you and I have had like several conversations, you know, off camera about the different things, and also not only about basketball, about life. And so I appreciate that. The other thing is that I see ourselves, you know, we've talked about some business, but I see ourselves doing some business in the future. And I think what's beautiful about that is when I came to the Kingdom and started, initially was looking for an opportunity. The timing wasn't quite right for me to really explore because I was transitioning in my life. But by me just hanging around, being around you guys, I got to know you. And I think with trust, when you really get to know a person, see, a lot of times in business, we do business with people, but it doesn't reach its full scope because we don't take the time to get to know the people we're doing business with. Because when we're doing business or whatever it is, we want to be successful, and you're trying to maximize it. Well, you got to be your best self to do that. And so it requires that what I'm giving, I got to be giving something back to people for me to stay excited about it. Well, you got to know the people for that to happen. Because you could want me to do something and I do it, but if I'm at home like, man, I'm not really feeling that. Well, I'm not bringing my best energy and my best effort. Well, what happened there is you and I, or whoever, any one of the three, like, I got to know your strength. You got to know my strength. Now, sometimes what we're doing together, I might be doing something that is not my strength, but somewhere in there, I have to be doing some of my strength because my strength is what's going to keep me energized. And doing business, you have to know each other's strengths. And so just being able to be around you guys these last couple of months and just, not only watch your operation, just hang out with you guys, that type of thing. I'm getting to know who you guys are as people and a lot of what you guys believe in. And it's business, but also just you can see your values and how you guys conduct your business. And they align with what I believe in my core values. And so I think that puts us in a position to, if we do something business-wise, not only can it be something explosive, but it can stay the course. Sometimes people do business and somewhere in there, because I've already been in that.
Yeah.
And just renting gyms and renting course for people. You said something one time, off the camera, like if you're in a facility and if that person's vision doesn't line up with your vision, at some point it's not going to go but so far. And I've experienced that a couple of times.
Yeah.
Like what I'm capable of or what I'm striving to do. If that person who runs the facility that's not in their business model, then it's not going to work. And so I've just been able to sit back and first just kind of see the operation and how maybe I could fit into that, what I can bring to the table, but also just knowing who y'all are, that belief and that trust is at a level to where if we were to get started with something, like I'm going to go all in because I believe in the people that I'm working with. And I think that's huge. Because I've been in situations where like I know what I'm trying to do and I know my work ethic and I know like when I'm locked into something, I can be relentless and I'm not going to give up, and I go through hardships because at the end of the day, I want these books or these products. This stuff is not easy. I stayed up late at night and had challenges, but I want to see this stuff become a reality, and so I can do that work when I'm around people who I trust and I believe.
And who see your strengths and see your value.
Right. So the kingdom, to answer that question, the kingdom has helped me with the brotherhood. You guys have helped me, not only helping me professionally, but you helping me personally, just by having a brotherhood, getting to know each other, talking about, because sometimes men got to talk to men.
Right.
And you guys have shared some things, not only basketball, you share some things just about life that's helped me. And just having a soundboard, sometimes having somebody to talk to,
Right.
that's huge. But lastly, I think the kingdom could help me because I think we can do explosive business together.
Let's do it, man.
Let's get it done.
Nothing but a word, bro.
Yes, sir.
Hey, man.
Yes, sir.
Lock in, man.
Yes, sir.
Lock in.
Get it.
Yes, sir.